Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. In light of the energies over the last 3 weeks that have been very intense for me, and I know for a lot of other people, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kundalini syndrome, or a lot of people may not know that phrase. Let's just say the difficulties associated with going through spontaneous Kundalini. And for those of us that are located in the Western world, whether that be the UK or Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, those primarily have been the people that I'm in touch with. I've actually had a few people from India reach out to me, which didn't make much sense to me because I considered that they would have access to gurus. Is when you start researching Kundalini, one thing that keeps coming up is, make sure you have a guru or a teacher or a guide, or it can be a very dangerous occurrence. Which is a little disconcerting. Consider most of us don't have access to teachers. I have my own background in spiritual teachings, being a Reiki master, but I certainly am not trained as a Kundalini master or teacher by no means. Nor do I have access to a guru down the street corner. Or a teacher or guide. For a period of time, through my awakening, I had a spontaneous Kundalini back in 2021, September. And because it was activated from a twin flame situationship, I initially got myself a twin flame coach that was very cha-ching, pricey to take her course on awakening and to be a member of her monthly group. From there, I went on to take Christina Lope's course on awakening, which was more awakening focused, but again, it came with a pretty price tag. And the few spiritual teachers that I found right away, or guides, came with hefty price tags. So I think that's our number one challenge, and we need to understand that whatever is happening in the world right now, whether it be divinely timed, as prophesized by the Mayans and the native populations and many other people who have said, hey, 2012 is the pinpoint of when things are going to shift. And really, that was kind of a precursor, because I don't look at more from an astrological point of view of Pluto just went into Age of Aquarius last year and hasn't really gotten running yet. And then this year, every single planet moves into a new sign. So really, we were in the pregame from 2012 to 2024 of the first wave of people awakening, and then we're the second or third wave of people awakening now. But there's a mass awakening that's occurring, which means people are having spontaneous Kundalinis or spiritual awakenings triggered by any number of situations, unbeknownst to them, without knowledge of what's happening to them, and without access to gurus or guides or teachers. Bear in mind, I have found one teacher via the internet that I've been going through his teachings as fast as I possibly can, which is Craig Holiday. And he offers by donation month or weekly group meetings that you can join to ask questions. So I'm going to join some of those and suss them out for people, because when it comes to difficulties in your spiritual awakening, I think your first difficulty is you don't know what's happening to you and you're very confused. And your second difficulty is finding access to people that do know what's happening to you, that can help guide you through the process, because the process itself is very long, is very slow, is very difficult, and is even more difficult when you don't know what's happening to you, and so you seek guidance from people who have no knowledge whatsoever about Kundalini. Because as I'm going to go through, there's a whole bunch of symptoms that you could have without realizing that's what you have. And then your first point of reference is to seek medical care. And most medical practitioners aren't going to have a clue about Kundalini at all. For example, I was just at my dentist and I happened to ask them, have they ever heard of a Kundalini? And they were like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to talk about that. Throw that one away. It's not something that I have brought up in discussion with my medical team in trying to solve this medical mystery. Nor have I addressed it with my medical team in reference to any other symptoms I've had leading up to this, including going to the hospital once for severe heart palpitations and heart testing because I didn't know what was happening with my heart when I was going through one of many heart expansions or heart chakra openings that resulted in severe pain. So I went to the hospital and they did x-rays and they did a whole bunch of stuff. And they're like, you're totally fine. And I'm like, I'm really not. But that taught me a very valuable lesson, which I then learned later on is a common symptom. So I just want to go through some of these and then give a suggestion to what I have been utilizing to help get me through a lot of these symptoms, because I can tell you it's intense. So I'm going to just say Kundalini syndrome. This is the description here. Also known as physio-Kundalini syndrome is a term used to describe the physical and psychological effects of a Kundalini awakening. Kundalini is a concept from yoga philosophy that involves the awakening of the dormant feminine energy located in the sacrum that releases upon a Kundalini rising, and then is either a spontaneous full Kundalini that goes and pierces through all of your chakras, or can rise slightly and then slowly work its way through. And it depends on how much trauma you have. It depends on a lot of influences on whether you're going to have a full or partial Kundalini. And even when you have a full Kundalini, that doesn't mean that you're over and done. It's a one-time event. You know, I hear people say things like, oh, I had an awakening and it's over. No, it's not over. Once it's activated, that's going to be a lifetime thing. It does, however, over time, get easier. I've been now, this will be my fourth year, and I'm still going through it, something fierce. So, physical symptoms of a Kundalini syndrome are upward moving vibrations in the spine that you may feel. Like I have what's known as kriyas. You'll often see my head going like this, and I think it's in part because my throat chakra has a lot of blockages, which we've established. And so the Kundalini is trying to push its way through. So my, up here, I also have a deviated septum because I broke my nose. So it's quite possible one of the channels isn't exactly flowing as it should be. And my head will wibble wobble all over the place. But you can have all kinds of vibration sensations that run up and down your spine. Throughout your body, you can also have shock-like sensations that happens, or jerks or shaking in the body, like I just said. Muscle twitches. I have one friend I know that has had severe twitching trying to release stuff that's in the shoulders. Both my shoulders experienced blockages and muscle pains. Physical pain that can occur anywhere in the body that you have a lot of trauma or dense energies that needs to be released. I've been riddled with physical pain throughout this entire process. I've talked a lot about physical pain relief on the body playlist in utilizing trigger point therapy, using suction cups, using a Shakti mat, doing a lot of yoga, getting my body into a proper alignment and good posture and going for walks, as well as massage therapy. I've tried acupuncture, I've tried osteopathy, I've tried chiropractic care. I decided all of those weren't things that I could afford after a period of time, so I stuck to the at-home DIY pain therapy programs, as well as I got myself some nice cannabis cream to rub on some sore muscles, especially my low back that has had persistent problems all the way along. Hot and cold sensations, which I absolutely also have experienced. There's times where it feels like you're burning up, but unlike a hot flash where you look hot and maybe sweaty, there is no discernible sign on the outside of you that you're hot. You're just exceptionally hot or freezing cold. And there'll be times in my house where I have a hat on and fuzzy warm clothing, fuzzy warm socks, even in the middle of the summer, because you'll get hot or cold flashes. And that's like the Kundalini is pushing its way through and literally burning through the stuff that's in your energetic system that needs to be burned off or cooled off. Some psychological symptoms that one might experience are emotional upheaval. Well, the first year of my Kundalini, I call the year of the tear. It was a lot of grief, processing through a lot of childhood grief and childhood trauma that was raised, and emotional flashbacks. You can experience any other emotions. I had a lot of anxiety because I had PTSD symptoms arise. I had a lot of fear that has come up in the last 2 years, a lot of terror, and extreme emotions, like emotions to the extreme, because when you go through emotional releases, you're releasing everything that you never released before. And so learning how to emote has become a paramount resource that I have had to do, because learning how to emote is not something that we are taught in society and within family. We are taught, pull yourself together, don't cry, or I'll give you something to cry about. Boys don't cry, blah, blah, blah. Any number of things. Go to your room, pull yourself together. Because emoting undesirable emotions like fear, like upset, like anger, are not socially acceptable emotions. So we've never actually been taught how to have them. So you need to learn how to express emotions, because the only way to get them out is to feel them. You have to feel them to heal them. And so in so doing, all of the emotions you've ever experienced in your life that you didn't experience, you didn't actually allow yourself to experience, you shoved down in one way or another using any number of coping mechanisms, will be brought up to the surface and cleared out on a Kundalini awakening for the purpose of transmuting it finally. And you transmute it by feeling it. So I have an emotions playlist, and I've done a lot of videos on emotions, but primarily I think one of the biggest and most important tools to use is reparenting, or in more specifically, remothering yourself through any emotions. Because when an emotion arises, your first impulse is going to be fear. Oh no, I can't have this emotion. It's not appropriate. It's not acceptable. And so then the emotion becomes exacerbated because it's trying to come up, and you're like, no, don't come up. So remothering yourself through these emotional releases has been my numero uno tool to facilitate me in dealing with any emotion that comes up. And so that's being the mother that you wish you always had. So if you don't have an example of a good mother, or your mother gave you like a small amount, like a taste of some nurturance, we're going to take that and we're going to expand that out to like the 100%. Or you're going to find an example of somebody that you think is a good mother, or yourself, if you are a mother, and you've mothered your child in a certain way, you're going to use that as your reference point. So when you're having extreme emotions that come to the surface, it's about talking yourself through those emotions and telling yourself, it's okay. It's okay to have this emotion. It's okay. You're safe. You can express fear. It's okay. You can cry. Nobody's going to hurt you. Nobody's going to hit you. Nobody's going to yell at you. And you see, I'm stroking myself because when a mother, if you think of a little baby or an infant that's crying because it's whatever, hungry, sad, needing a nappy change, a parent picks them up and soothes them. It's okay. You're okay. Everything's going to be okay. This too shall pass. You are allowed to emote, and reparenting ourselves. Now, I've done a remothering or reparenting guided meditation for you to use if talking to yourself feels foreign and uncomfortable. There's a guided meditation where I'm saying all those things to you to help you transmute it. And that is in either the Practices with B or the Emotions playlist. You can find that to help facilitate you transmuting some of these emotions, because, sorrow, anguish, fear, anxiety, panic, confusion, all can be overwhelming emotions that you get fearful of. So having that maternal archetype energy there, either yourself giving it to you through stroking yourself and touching yourself and saying calming, soothing words to yourself. I've often made audio recordings for myself, saying the things that I needed to hear to help transmute through those emotions as they come and surface. Some of the other psychological symptoms of the Kundalini is fear of death or fear of insanity. Now, I've also experienced both of these. And the fear of death is overwhelming because it's your ego that's dying. But your ego is going to try to convince you that you're dying, or that, death is imminent, or the only way out of this suffering is death. And so we need to not listen to the mental chatter of the ego that's screaming and writhing in its last stands as you go through multiple cycles of ego death. So be forewarned that if you are experiencing a fear of death, or you think you're dying, that's again a time to grab that mothering energy and remind yourself that you're okay, you are safe, this too shall pass, using these soothing, calming mantras over and over and over again, and wait it out. There have been times where I was lying in my bed thinking death was absolutely imminent, and all I could do was just, this too shall pass, this too shall pass, and give it 12 hours, give it 24 hours, give it 72 hours. If give it as many hours as you need to give it, because it will shift when you're going through dark night of the soul and ego death. I also want to talk about the insanity, because when the Kundalini energy is piercing through your third eye and your crown chakra, it can cause a lot of confusion. It can cause a severe paranoia. It can cause psychosis if you're not careful, and that's one of the reasons why I strongly advise against using any drugs at all in combination with Kundalini. Listen, how you chose to live your life, and I was the same before your spiritual awakening, that's fine. I'm not judging people who use microdosing. I used microdosing. I'm not judging anybody who used cannabis. I used cannabis. I'm not judging anybody who used pharmaceuticals. I used pharmaceuticals. I used all of these things prior to my Kundalini. When my Kundalini happened, it did not interact well with any of those things. So one after another, I gave up every type of drug because the symptoms that I was getting with my third eye opening were terrifying. Very extreme and borderline psychosis. I knew whatever was happening to me was out of the realm of normal. I did worry that I was going insane, but luckily I had managed to still hold on to some semblance of the capacity to not buy into what the mind was trying to convince me of. Where a full-blown psychosis is somebody who fully and completely believes the delusions. So I didn't believe what I was hearing, and I didn't believe what I was seeing and experiencing. I questioned it. I am observing that I am experiencing these very strange experiences. I'm aware that I'm having a Kundalini, so I know that this is a symptom of this. So I'm not going to believe what is happening, but I was still not comfortable having it, and that inspired me to quit cannabis cold turkey, I can tell you that. So if you're messing around with drugs, even if you are on a very low dose and thinking that they're not going to influence and have an effect on Kundalini, you could get yourself into a world of hurt. So that's just a forewarning. I'm not saying it's going to happen to everybody, but I have known others, many others, that have experienced psychosis on their awakening path. Many have landed in a hospital. And where I started from at the beginning of this discussion is a hospital won't know diddly squat about a Kundalini. So if you go into a hospital and you're explaining symptoms that are psychosis based, you will very likely be placed in the hospital for a period of time, put on antipsychotic medications. I don't know one way or another if those are going to help you or not, because what you're experiencing is a Kundalini. It may subdue the Kundalini for a period of time, but it won't completely shut it down. And you may get diagnosed with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or many other things that don't take into account the fact that you're experiencing a Kundalini awakening. And unless you have access to somebody who is a transpersonal psychologist who has awareness and has been taught about Kundalini, When you go to mainstream medical with Kundalini syndrome symptoms, you are going to find yourself not being understood. And you won't get treated for what you need. And as I said, it may temporarily help, having antipsychotics if you're having extreme psychosis symptoms. But in the long term, it's not going to subdue completely and utterly a Kundalini, from what I know. And now listen, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am just an individual that has a background in psychology and counseling, and as well has experienced my own Kundalini. So I knew when I was experiencing a lot of these out there experiences that I was not going to say a word to anyone. Because I didn't want to land myself in any long-term facilities because I was hearing voices, for example. And that was terrifying and not a nice experience. I also, when I went through my third eye opening, started having spiritual experiences that were very overwhelming. For the first time in my life, I was having interactions with spirits that had not crossed over into the light. And, I didn't get to go to Hogwarts school where I was prepared for any of this. And I didn't know about how to help spirits transition over, other than a few television shows. I was not experienced in dealing with that. So you can have, as your spiritual gifts come online, a whole bunch of experiences that become overwhelming, terrifying, confusing, scary, because clairaudience comes online, and you will start hearing things. Your clairvoyance comes online, you will start seeing things. Telepathy is another one that I have experienced that was a little bit like, wah. So understand that as all your clairs come online and your spiritual gifts, your third eye opens and your crown opens, it can be very, very overwhelming, and therefore you can feel like you're going totally nuts. And you could go into a state, as I said, a psychosis state. And that psychosis state can last for a very long period of time if you are unaware that you're having a Kundalini, if you're not doing the necessary things to help ground you and stabilize you, if you are still taking drugs that's going to exacerbate that psychosis, and it can lead to a very bad, dangerous place. So do be forewarned of that. As well as the mood swings that you'll experience, because, as I said, you're going from states of high ecstasy at times, and states of extreme grief and extreme emotional releases as you're going through trauma releases. So again, if you go to a psychiatrist and explain, they might diagnose you as bipolar disorder or something other disorder, when really what you're having is a spiritual awakening. So what you really need to be talking to is somebody that is A, trauma informed, and B, transpersonal psychology informed. Those are the types of counselors that are going to be able to provide you with assistance. Or find yourself with a spiritual awakening teacher, such as Craig Holliday that I mentioned, or take a course that's offered through Christina Lopes or some other guru through India that has online facilities. But do be aware, buyer beware. This isn't a regulated system. So a lot of people out there that call themselves gurus, be careful. be very careful. I've come across one or two gurus in my searching that were very dangerous individuals. And when I did a whole bunch of research too, there's actually a lot of complaints because some people that place themselves into guru role can very easily abuse their power because people are coming to them in a most vulnerable place because they're experiencing a Kundalini, and they're giving all of their trust to somebody who's in a position of power that can easily manipulate. So buyer beware, do your research, do your Google searches on customer reviews before you sign on to like give hundreds of dollars to somebody, or move down to their retreat or get naked. If anybody's asking you to get naked, that's a surefire sign that they're misusing their power. And yes, that actually happened to a bunch of women. So luckily not to me, because I wouldn't do that. But there's young women out there that could easily and have easily been taken advantage of by people because they're told, surrender to Kundalini. You need to surrender. So surrender all your clothes. Don't be surrendering all your clothes to any wackadoodles calling themselves a guru. Okay? So just letting you know that. Heightened sensitivity to others' moods. Okay, so as all your clairs open up, one of your clairs could be your clairsentience, which I have as an empath. So this type of empath is like a medical empath, is one term for it, or a medical intuitive, who experiences not only other people's emotions, but experience other people's physical symptoms. And it's very unpleasant because you're like, now what am I sick with? And it's because you are picking up on other people's energies. So you need to learn spiritual hygiene very, very quickly. And I've not always been good at this. It's again, learning the hard way. So clearing and shielding. So some of the clearing techniques that I use is I have a clearing prayer that I use to clear off anybody else's energies, including any negative energies that happen to be coming at me. I also use Steve Noble's meditations. He's got free meditations here on YouTube. Steve Noble, very good. Just do Steve Noble clearing, Steve Noble shielding. I've used lots of his meditations. Energy clearing, so actually clearing your energy field, like brushing it through, saying I'm clearing. As a Reiki master, I do my own Reiki healings on myself, so that's another way that I can clear energy. Using sage is one way to clear my own energy by burning some sage, as well as other aromatherapies of high frequency. So frankincense is one that I routinely burn in the house, as well as clearing baths, so spiritual baths, which is a bath with Epsom salts or sea salts, with baking soda, with a tiny little bit of borax and a tiny little bit of bentonite clay. If you don't want to do all four of, and then essential oils like frankincense, rose, lavender are some of the oils that I routinely use. But if you only want to use two, make sure that you've got salts and baking soda, because that'll help pull out and detoxify you. So that is one way to clear your energy, and then shield. Using visualizations. Again, Steve Noble has meditations for shielding that are incredible. You can just visualize in your own mind seeing yourself in a ball of light, in multiple balls of light, you can call in the archangels. Archangel Michael is the best one to utilize to help shield you up. If you've never done any shielding, start with some of Steve Noble's shielding meditations, because then you'll kind of get the hang of it, and then you can kind of take it from there. So yes, if you've got heightened sensitivities to others' moods and to others' physical ailments, you want to clear, you want to shield, and you want to cut cords. So if you have attachments to people emotionally, and you live with them, and practicing routinely cutting cords is highly valuable, especially if you have negative connections with people that you want to permanently cut cords with, and you might have to do it more than one time. So if you're just gotten out of a nasty relationship, again, Steve Noble, cord cutting, though lots of other people do cord cuttings, because it's a visualization of picking up on your body where you have energetic ties, and I've done art in the past depicting, the connection between an empath and a narcissist, because it's like they're siphoning off energy through you through a tube. So always kind of do a visual scan of yourself of where am I leaking energy, who am I connected with, how can I clear it, and clear, shield, cut cords. If you are an empath and you're picking up on everybody else's everything all the time. Psychological, also confusion ties in, because as I said, opening the higher chakras as the Kundalini is working its way up into the higher, and my experience is, Kundalini doesn't just go once through the system. It's like it's working its way up, and each time it clears a little bit more. So, you'll feel it in the heart, and then the next it's in the throat, and then the next it's in the third eye, and you're like, you might get some headaches when it's up in these higher realms, and get severely confused. Like, what's happening to me again? So I like to know what's happening, and that's why I return back to I have affirmations, or I'll listen to another video by Christina Lopes just to refresh my memory, or I have my own truth journal, which is like, you are awakening. This is a Kundalini symptom. This too shall pass. Give it some time, and so that will help. So confusion is a normal symptom of Kundalini. Some sensory experiences that you might experience is an upward gaze. I haven't personally experienced that. Breath, you might find your breath, you're holding on to your breath. So that's why we need to be consciously breathing and working on expanding the breath as much as possible. I like to do exceptionally long, slow, deep breaths. I also have done periods of time where I'm doing intense breathing, and I have a breathwork playlist. Feel free to check those out. If the energy is in the higher chakras and you're feeling overwhelmed, not the time to do fast breathing. That's when you're feeling stuck and stagnant. If you're feeling all high on your head in the higher realms, you want to do grounding. I have a grounding playlist to help you find techniques and tools to ground the energy. Other people have talked about seeing light. And or starting to see auras, starting to see their chakras. I don't see so much that, but I have had at moments of time light just hit me. Very, very powerful. But for the most part, I don't see things as in my physical eyes. I see mental pictures of situations when my clairvoyance started to come on. It's like little mini movies that play out in my head, and I just have knowings. So it's a combination of clairvoyance and claircognizance. It's just I'll see something and then I'll just know something. So those are some things that might happen. You also might hear sounds that aren't audible to others, high-pitched frequency sounds in one ear or another ear, and people give those different meanings. I also experience what is, for the last year, a constant kind of chirping sound. It's very low. Nobody hears it but me. I know it's not anything to worry about. When you do research Kundalini, it's actually called the sound of the universe. And it's just something that I've learned to live with. It gets noisier at nighttime, obviously, when things are really silent. So I often, if it's bothersome to me, play frequency sounds when I sleep, or nice soothing music, usually, Indian chanting, or some sort of Tibetan singing bowls, or something that's going to distract me, and then I don't notice it at all. So yes, you will have auditory experiences. Some people have extreme auditory experiences. Other than that one time of hearing voices, I don't hear voices, but it is something that others have reported. So be aware of that. Pressure in the third eye, as well as the crown. When the energy is in both either my third eye, you can get quite severe headaches, which can be like a migraine. Otherwise, you can feel, and the crown chakra is called the 1,000 petals, even though it's only 998, but or 997. I'm not sure, but anyways, the 1,000 petals. So it can feel like just like a sensation, as if one petal is opening. It takes a while for your crown chakra to get fully opened. So be aware that if you're experiencing sensations and pressures. I also, when my third eye was beginning, at the very beginning of my awakening, experienced a lot of sinus pain. And what I did to clear the sinuses is I use a neti pot very frequently, as well as sesame oil, which is an Ayurvedic therapy that you squirt up your nose. And it moisturizes. So if your sinuses get very dry, which is the opposite of getting full of mucus, if you're full of mucus, you want to use the neti pot. If they're very, very dry, using sesame oil helps lubricate, which will also alleviate a lot of the headache symptoms that you might get. You also become hypersensitive to sounds and to light. So going to places like a mall might be overwhelming unless you have a pair of sunglasses and noise canceling headphones, or you can get noise canceling earplugs that come in. And so overall, you'll become more hypersensitive. All of your, if you were already sensitive to begin with, you'll become even more hypersensitive, not only to other people around you, but just to noise, to Wi-Fi, and I developed a sensitivity to Wi-Fi, which is why I got grounding sheets on my bed to help just ground some of the electricity that was going around. And for a while, I had on my bed a Faraday cage, as well as I got all kinds of EMF stickers on my electronics to help with that. So you also become hypersensitive to certain foods, hypersensitive to caffeine, which is why I say caffeine is like a drug. It stimulates your nervous system, which is the last thing you want to do on a Kundalini, is stimulate the Kundalini in any way, shape, or form. You want to feed the Kundalini as many calming things as possible. So switch out your caffeinated beverages to chamomile tea or valerian root tea, or something, soothing for your belly, because when you become more hypersensitive, your stomach might be become more hypersensitive as well. So it's going to start to react to things like dairy and like gluten, like sugar, because those are also stimulating your digestive system. So our nervous system on a Kundalini is like being fried constantly, because it's just so much energy is flowing through you. So calming it with coconut water, lemon water, water, as long as it's nice filtered water, the better. And helping yourself calm things with soothing things, as opposed to anything caffeinated. So that might be, your green teas are even caffeinated. Your hot chocolates are caffeinated. Your pops, well, you shouldn't drink that shit anyways, but if you're still drinking that, you might want to switch out to something like Zevia, which is sweetened by stevia. Because hypersensitivity can also go into foods like nightshade vegetables, peanut allergies, any other allergies, hypersensitivities and skin reactions, as your system is like, no, I don't want this, I'm pushing this out. So certain foods might exacerbate if you have already pre-existing skin conditions. And on top of that, hypersensitivity to how you sleep, when you sleep, and all these types of things. So you might want to, create an environment that's as pitch black as possible, with very soothing music and nice, soft, gentle sheets, and try to soothe yourself as much as you can. We come back to that kind of remothering or reparenting ourselves, of treating ourselves as gently and as calmly and as wonderfully as possible. So if you are having a lot of these types of symptoms in your Kundalini, you want to go back, slow down on your spiritual practices. So that means slow way down on how much time you're spending in meditation and trying to be all zen, because that way it's pushing the energy up into the third eye, when what we want to be doing is mindfulness practices, where we're pulling the energy back into our body, and we're practicing body work and in our body as much as possible. Wiggle your toes, do some yin yoga instead of just meditation, or do some somatic movement, lie on the grass, get in nature. All of these types of things are going to help you ground the energy as opposed to moving it up, because on a Kundalini, it's so very important that you have the root chakra and open before the higher ones. Otherwise, you'll be like me, where you had a debilitated root chakra, which results in a lot of fear, and more fear resides, not feeling safe. So I had to spend all of this last year working on calming the PTSD, calming the nervous system, like regulating the nervous system, grounding, to help keep that fear in check. Because when the fear is not in check and you've got a lot of energy up here, that's when paranoia can take over. And you can't listen to your mind on a Kundalini. You need to override the mind as much as possible and get into the body as much as you possibly can. Because you have to retrain the body, and even, talking to the body. You are safe in your body here and now. In this room, you are safe. There is nothing in this room that can hurt you. You are safe here now. So that's practicing mindfulness types of works, where you're focusing on the energy in your body. Focus on your heart space, focus on your root chakra, focus on your feet, focus on feeling what you're feeling inside your body, and not focus on just the breath, or passing clouds. No. Bring the energy back back down. Prayer obviously is been huge on my awakening journey, and can be very useful. Call in your spirit guides, call in the help from the angelic realm. My favorite angels to work with are Archangel Michael for protection, Archangel Raphael for healing, Archangel Shamuel for comfort, and you can use a lot of others. There's so many, but those are my tops. Zadkiel for clearing energy, and of course, if you resonate with any ascended masters, Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Mohammed, whoever you resonate with, Green Terra, do any of that to help you on this way. So that's a kind of long and short of Kundalini syndrome, as in the difficulties that you might face on your Kundalini awakening. And I faced them all, and they're not pleasant. A Kundalini awakening is without question the hardest thing I have ever been through in my entire life. And this is year 4. And like, my spiritual awakening was going great. It was going just fine. And then I had a Kundalini, and then it was like spiritual awakening on speed. And I had to quickly figure out the information that I needed, because, as I said, I've dealt with almost every single one of these symptoms, as well as more. And that's more of all the stuff that happens to your body as your body is purging. And your body will purge every which way it possibly can. So there have been times where I have had vomiting spells. There have been times where things were releasing from every angle. There were times where I've been exceptionally sweaty and sweating things out. There have been times where stuff was coming out, I said, of the sinuses and or the lungs, coughing up stuff. So if you're getting spiritual flu, that's a form of purging. Obviously, crying like there's no tomorrow. Frequent urination, in which I eat a lot of cranberries and drink a lot of cranberry juice to keep the kidneys going, to help the liver. I use a lot of lemons or limes in my water as well. At one stage, I was taking milk thistle to help detoxify for the stomach. I was aiding my stomach with ginger tea and peppermint tea, as well as any number of things. So if you're facing certain symptoms and you have a question and I didn't go through it, and you're like, I've got this ailment, I don't know what to do, please feel free to drop a comment and I can do a video on it, because I can pretty much guarantee I had it. Because I had them all. Yes, so if you're suffering with any physical issues or emotional issues, and you need some help with something in particular, you can drop a comment. I can either give you a link to a video I've already done, or I can make a new video. If you would like to book a one-on-one with me to discuss some of the conflicts and problems and symptoms and difficulties that you are facing on your awakening, please send me an email and let's book a one-on-one. All my services are donation-based. If you want to join the Spiritual Warrior Support Group to get the help of other people that are going through difficult awakenings, the link for that is in the description below. And with that all said, I'm sending you my absolute love and understanding, and it is not an easy process, and some days I'm just going to let you off the hook. If all you can do is breathe and stroke your head and say, "This too shall pass," then you're acing it. You're doing awesome. You are a warrior. because doing this work is warrior work. Bypassing and trying to evade it, that's not warrior work. Warrior work is sitting in it and lying in it and facing it and feeling it and experiencing it with love and compassion for yourself and not avoiding it. You can be a spiritual warrior or you can be in the status quo. And once Kundalini comes along, it says, no more status quo. We're doing things my way. And my way is we're clearing out everything from bottom to top over and over and over again. And hopefully we all get out the other end of this and we feel a lot more zen. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? So that all said, peace out.